All right, it looks like we are live. My brothers and sisters, patriots across this incredible nation, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to venture into the committees, the halls of the Senate, where they are still trying to take your gun rights because Chris Murphy lives and breathes, therefore he's going to try. But don't worry, I'm going to show you everything, dispel it in real time, and bring you what's happening to your gun rights of veterans in DC. Now, if you guys are getting in here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. You guys need to send this one out, and you need to be aware of what these villains are doing because it is actively happening as this video is functionally launching right now. So as you're filtering in, make sure you give me the 5x5 audio video over in the chat. Make sure we are good to go, and we will get right on with all the shenanigans that are happening literally in a committee right freaking now. I'm not happy about it, but at least we can be aware of it and fight this as it goes forward. All right. So it looks like notifications are struggling to go out again, so make sure you send this out as you get in here and you hit that like button and all the ways that you can interact with this video. That would be incredibly helpful. And guys, I'm going to jump you over to the X feed. Make sure you hit that follow on X at Braden LOA. Looks like we've got audio, we've got video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I got to show you what is happening inside the Senate right now. So at Braden LOA on X. And guys, if you want to dominate the message, if you want to dominate the people that I'm about to show you in the messaging, we have numbers in now through the second press, our community, our membership. We have 46% increase of message consumption by those that view it in like-to-like content. Guys, I'm telling you, you want to outlast, outshine, and be the dominant narrative in the space to push two-way forward and destroy gun controllers. There's a link in the description box below. I am excited about these numbers. Secondpress.co. Check it out. I swear to you, 46% increase on message consumption that has never been done before in our space. Be part of this. I know we can do it. Check it out in the description box below. All right, let's get into this. As you guys are leaving the chat or commenting in the chat, make sure we are good to go. No notification. That does not surprise me in the least. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about, guys. I'm just going to do this as we go in, and people can watch it on the back play if they didn't catch the live. So NAGR posted this earlier today, about an hour ago. I think it was about an hour ago. Yeah, roughly. Live now, committee markup of military construction and veteran affairs. Democrat senators continue to push lies about the VA, or the Veterans Affairs, gun ban. The ban does not only target veterans who have serious histories of self-harm. Prior hearings have included dozens of testimonies of veterans having their 2A rights stripped for merely delegating control of their finances to a loved one without a judge ever ruling on the decision. All right, if you guys are not familiar with what I'm talking about as we're filtering in, make sure you guys send this one out because notifications clearly didn't go out on this one. If you're not familiar with this, there's a push by the Democrats in the Congress and the House and the Senate to put veterans, the people who fought for our rights, the ones that gave up everything potentially, and in some cases did, to take their rights away because they can't manage their finances. They're using it as a reason to say, oh my gosh, they are not mentally competent, so we need to take their guns away without giving them any type of hearing or a chance to defend themselves. Because in the gun-controlling mind of Chris Murphy, no guns equals good. It's a very simple equation. But that's what they do, okay? And what I'm about to show you is an actual live feed from the Senate right now where they're walking through this exact same thing. Now, this was an incredibly close vote. I'm going to show you the whole thing, but that's what they do. They go after this whole thing of veterans can't have their gun rights because they can't manage their checkbook, a small amount of them, and therefore we just take rights from them, of which they sacrifice so much for. I will never let this go. This is one of my pet peeves in life because these people deserve our respect. It's time to repay that favor. All right. So I showed you NAGR, now I'm going to show you the Gifford side. Republicans show time and time again how little they care about veterans. They won't even support collecting data on veterans' suicide rates. About that. It's a disgrace and a betrayal to those who serve our country. Okay, so listen. If the sun is shining, Giffords is lying. Okay, let's just get into this actual clip. And this is live from the Senate a couple minutes ago. You tell me if that's what this sounds like as we go through this. And I'm going to stop it and I'm going to correct it as we go and give it real-time correction because it needs it. But Chris Murphy's talking, so you know gun controllers somewhere are behind his little butt pulling strings. Check this out.
Are there other members who wish to offer an amendment to the bill? Senator from Connecticut is recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I know that Senator Merkley is going to offer an amendment shortly that will allow us to have a conversation about what happened last night and what I think is the real story that we need to be talking about today, the destruction of the bipartisan appropriations process that, frankly, brought us all here, that caused us all to fight so hard to be a member of this committee. But I first want to offer a relatively straightforward reporting amendment that I hope will receive bipartisan support. As many of you know, we had a 30-year consensus across the aisle that said if an individual has been adjudicated seriously mentally ill or mentally incompetent, that they should not be able to get a firearm. And that was relative to courts making those determinations, but also administrative bodies. So for 30 years, when the VA adjudicated a veteran to be mentally incompetent, that's the term of art in the statute, which essentially means they can't even manage their financial affairs. They can't balance a checkbook. They can't hold a bank account. The most common diagnosis in this category was schizophrenia. So these are really seriously mentally ill veterans.
So do you see what they're doing? They're conflating really seriously mentally ill veterans with those that can't manage a checkbook. So if you're bad at managing your finances, then you fall into this category. This is the game. The longer and broader of the stroke that they can cast, the more people that they can get into it. Because if it was truly just about those that would be considered schizophrenic or have very serious issues or mental diagnoses, any things of those nature, you could simply say, we need to offer every single thing that we can for these individuals. But that's not what you're saying. What you're saying is, we're going to take people's gun rights away who fought and died for this country and gave up their friends, family, blood, sweat, tears, time, energy, and in most cases, bodies. We're just going to take their gun rights away because they can't manage a checkbook. Do you see how that conflates? And that's what this guy is always doing. He's always saying that this is not just, everybody. It's this small little amount. Then why doesn't the language reflect a small little amount? Because it doesn't. And on top of that, this also has the chilling effect of anyone seeking kind of treatment that they would need. Because if they go in and say, I'm struggling with something, the first thing you're going to say is, well, I'm going to take the rights of which you find identity in. Yeah, how do you think that's going to go? Well, let's keep going.
That they would have their gun rights suspended, pending a review and appeal process, which veterans are afforded. We attached an amendment, a rider to the appropriations bill a few years ago that restored to all of those veterans, even those with serious suicidal ideations and histories of self-harm, their ability to buy guns again. I'm not asking us to relitigate that question here, but I do think it would be important for us to get some information about the impact of a very serious change that we made. Obviously, the risk here is that when you are giving guns to veterans who have serious histories of self-harm, very serious mental diagnoses like schizophrenia, you are going to spike the suicide rate. And so this amendment.
All right, so he's offering an amendment right now to become law. So you have to understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to collect data on all the people who would be in these categories, but then he goes back to the schizophrenic and the previous suicides and all of these things. This is what they do on the left. They do this in every aspect of the left. They do this on immigration, on abortion, any hot button topic. We're going to take the most extreme example that represents the 0.001% of people, and then we're going to apply it to everybody and say, why don't you care about them? That's what they do. It is literally their standard tactic. Okay, so in this clip, this is live. This is happening right now. So you've gone from, well, those schizophrenic, and of course, if they can't manage a checkbook, and then you've gone back to multiple suicide attempts. You just went from extreme to moderate to extreme. The moderate in the middle right there is anybody who can't manage a checkbook is going to be having their rights taken away. You're conflating two different things. That's the problem. Because the language says financially. It says mentally adjudicated based on financial means. That's what the language says. These guys are villains, man. Like, oh my God.
It simply says that there should be a report from the VA on information that they have, whether or not this population of veterans who have been adjudicated mentally incompetent by the VA have been committing suicide at an increasing rate. So this is simply an amendment to say, let's get a report. on the suicide rate for this specific population to see if the decision we made a few years ago to allow this class of veterans access again to firearms has in fact resulted in a dramatic rise, as I worry it has, of veteran suicides. So again, not trying to litigate the underlying issue here, hoping that we can just as a committee say it would be good for us to get data to understand whether, whether this change has resulted in real harm to our veterans community.
All right. So if you're just now tuning in, you are watching Chris Murphy because for some reason notifications are just on life support this week for YouTube. But if you're watching this right now, Chris Murphy is now going down the road of, well, God, we don't want to relitigate all the really bad things that we did. Yeah, I would hope not, because it's a shit sandwich. But we do need the data. Why is that important? The reason that that's important is because they don't have power right now. So they're not going to push their main pushes. They're going to collect all the data and set the table for later when they assume that they're going to have power again. That's what you're looking at right now. I don't want to relitigate who can and can't have their firearms because, we've done that. We've done that. Oh, yeah, you've done that. I've seen you do it. But can we just get some data? It's just some data. It's just some information. What is wrong with some information? They're laying the trap. It's exactly what this guy's doing. All right, let's keep on going because now you get to hear from other senators, again, who are just mind-bogglingly obsessed with taking people's guns away.
Senator Bozeman.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate Senator Murphy, again, working on this important issue. Veterans who are found by a competent judicial authority to be a danger to themselves or others are reported to NICS under current law. As drafted, I'm concerned about notwithstanding any provision of law relating to privacy of information. And then the other thing is there's nothing in this amendment as drafted to delineate whether the suicides to be reported involve a firearm or not. So for that reason, that we would oppose the amendment.
Madam Chair.
Senator Reed.
No.
I'm sorry, Senator Ossoff.
Yeah, I would just offer, I think this is a pretty straightforward reporting requirement, and that the committee and the Congress would benefit from more information and more data to make better policy. So I'll be supporting the amendment.
Senator Reed.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. There is a crisis in veteran suicides in the United States today.
All right, he's about to go down the road. This is a different senator, okay? Another Democrat senator about to go down the road of all the numbers and all those different things and how everything's a crisis. Everything's a crisis. Crisis. Nothing exists normal anymore. It's all crisis. But what you're hearing right now is the response around this bill. And I'm going to show you the vote at the very end of this, but I have a real quick question. Can we get some people in the Senate who aren't geriatric and who can actually hold a conversation in a confident tone, not, Senator, can please? For the love of God. Okay, let's just continue. This part is mind-boggling to me.
And no wonder, no generation of American fighting men and women have endured the kind of traumatic, constant deployments that this generation has seen over the last 2 decades at least. And as a result, we have serious problems with PTSD and other issues, schizophrenia, et cetera. There are approximately 6,500 veterans a year who die by suicide, and 70% of those involve firearms. So we have to ask ourselves, what is one way for us to reduce this? And it's first to do what Senator Murphy says, is look at the problem analytically and determine whether or not informing authorities and gun shop owners about the status of these individuals will save lives. They have literally given their lives in many respects for the country. And this is just a sensible analysis so that we can go forward with knowledge to make better policy just to help our veterans. I'll just conclude by saying I think everyone's...
All right, so I just want to say something really quick before I go into these numbers, because this is a massive point of this, right? This is all about control. That's why I fight this so hard. That's why I fight the left all the freaking time. That's why I cover other things that are adjacent to our topics, because they all have to do with what's happening with control. But what we're about to talk about right now is the actual veteran suicide rate, which is awful. I want it to be zero. These people deserve every bit of support that we possibly can give them. But you know what's not going to help? It's not going to help to say, hey, if you come talk to us about needing support on something, which, by the way, is not their fault, your natural reaction is going to be, oh, you have this issue? Well, just tell me more about it. Can you manage a checkbook by chance? No? Okay, we're going to need you to hand over all your guns. This is literally a complete and total chilling effect on getting the people who gave everything for us the support they need. You're weaponizing the VA against these people who already are predisposed to having this issue because they're walking in the door. You're walking them out the door because they know that if they talk to a doctor and say something's wrong, they're going to take their rights from them. It's no longer about getting help. Now it's about preserving their rights, and they'll deal with it on their own. That's only exacerbating the issue of which they're claiming to care about. This is the entire point, and I will never stop fighting on this one. This topic is just asinine to me. But let's talk about something else that he just mentioned. 6,500 people per year are veterans who commit suicide. That is an awful number. And I want that to be zero, as I said. But if you look at the 6,500 number compared to all the total number of what they call gun violence, right? I'm doing this off the top of my head. It's around 43,000 people per year are involved with either suicide or homicide in the United States. That's the gun violence number, 43,000, okay? If you could solve this problem, you could bring down the suicide portion, which is a vast majority, around 60 to 65% of that gun violence number, which is right around 30, I think it's 31,000, I think, don't hold me to that, I think it's 31,000-ish. You could bring that down by 6,500. That's like 25%. All by giving them support and not making them afraid to go to the doctor or go get some help. Guys, this reinforces the point that I always say. If these people right here really genuinely cared about solving the problem, Giffords.org, they would not be pushing this. They would be pushing support. They wouldn't be pushing punitive actions. That's the entire point of this. But let's continue. I got a couple more senators I want you to hear from, and then we'll offer some analysis on it.
Hears, when they go back home, a story about a veteran taking their life. Just a week or so, I was there, and one of my friends said, gee, did you hear about so-and-so? I said, no. He said, well, he's about late 20s, and he seemed to be okay, but he killed himself 2 weeks before his wedding. We have serious problems here, and this deals with it, and I would urge passage.
Madam Chair, if I could just respond.
Senator Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just respond briefly. This amendment does incorporate underlying privacy laws. So all this amendment is seeking is to get the aggregate data, the number of suicides within this population. Again, I just don't know why we wouldn't just want this information to point us in a future direction of policy.
Bing, ding, bingo. I don't know why. I'm coming from a common sense perspective. I don't know why we wouldn't want this. It makes so much sense for everybody. Why wouldn't we want to collect the data for future policy? What did he say? Policy consideration. Future policy consideration. Yeah, I think that we call that gun control. I'm telling you, all they do on these things is how does it affect the end means, the end goal? What are they trying to do? They don't have power right now, so now you're going to make it unreasonable if you don't give them this data, which seems innocuous and harmless. But then all of a sudden, oh my God, well, look at that. We've got this collected data over the last 2 years, and now we're in a position where we can make policy choices. This is the way these people act and behave. It's all a game to them. By the way, why do you need more data when the other senator from, I believe, Rhode Island, Senator Reed, literally just quoted the data? Why do you need data if you're already quoting the data? It's kind of like saying, I need more data to get the data so we can get more data. What the actual hell are you talking about? Again, it's all a big game, guys. It's a big game. Let me show you some more people who are talking on this.
Senator Vice Chair Murray.
Thank you. Every day about 17 veterans die by suicide. We can't ignore that. 12 of those 17 veterans die from self-inflicted firearm injuries. As Senator Reed said, that's 71% of the veteran suicides. Senator Murphy's amendment just allows us to understand how many veterans we have potentially lost to suicide because they might otherwise have been barred from purchasing handguns, but they weren't. So at a minimum, we should collect this data to know how this provision adopted recently is affecting veterans and costing lives. So I want to thank Senator Murphy for offering this amendment. I know this is a very personal issue for him, the issue of gun safety. I want to thank you for your work on that, and I really want to commend you for offering this amendment. I hope we can adopt it. It seems to be the most rational, easy thing we can do.
Are there further senators who wish to comment on the amendment?
All right. So what's going to happen now is they're going to vote, and I'm not going to make you go through Susan Collins, who's 900 years old, and say like, does anyone vote for yay or nay? The bottom line was this was a 15 to a 14 loss. This was a 15 to a 14 no. 14 people on this committee said yes, 15 people said no. That number should be a lot further apart than that. 15 to 14, just so you know. Okay, so when you're listening to Murray right there, who is another Democrat, I believe she's from Washington State. It's either Washington or Oregon, somewhere in the far left coast. She goes down the same road. It's all because of guns. Senator Reid, it's all because of guns. Chris Murphy, we need this data for future policy consideration. Guys, this is the time they're going to do all the underlying work so they can be prepared for when they believe they're going to take control, and then they're going to go a full court press on this crap. This is why this is so important to pay attention to. You are watching the villains line up their ducks in a row for their time in the sun. You got Giffords.org touting how amazing data collection would be, damned any veteran rights. That doesn't matter. No, it's just about collection and data. We don't want to solve the problem. We just want to continue to go forward and fundraise on the problem and then take everyone's rights away, because after all, guns are the problem, even though they're not. Then you got NAGR over here, who's actually trying to draw attention to it, which credit to them. But what you're dealing with right now, guys, and I'm going to kind of go big on this one. What you're dealing with right now, and then I'll do the super chats, is a subset of people who need or may need help. And you're going to push them away from a doctor's office, or you're going to push them away from the help that they feel rightly deserve because they gave up they gave up life, their blood, their sweat, their tears, their energy, their bodies, their mental fortitude. You're going to make them basically shy away from getting that fixed, which in my opinion is our responsibility, because you're going to penalize them. This is not acceptable behavior, and it's very obvious why you wouldn't do this. I don't know. To me, this is just so far beyond the pale. But anyway, let me get over to the super chat. I think I had one or two come in. Trino Galaxy for $2 says, petition to rename Giffords to Dictators Are Us. I like that. It's good. It's got a ring to it, Romulus 463 for a $5 super chat said, I didn't get a notification of this video. I'm still subscribed with the bell on. Saw it in my feed. YouTube is still playing games with notifications. Yeah, they are. A good way to tell on this, our audience, we're sitting right around 590,000 people on the subscription. We're having people unsubscribed. I can tell you that actively. And then on the actual notifications on lives, if we get to right when I hit live, if I'm at 200, 300 people in the first minute, that means notifications went out. If I'm at 0 in the first minute or 2 minutes, notifications didn't go out. In this case right now, we're sitting at 400 concurrent viewers after a 20-minute stream. Yeah, notifications didn't go out. That's way low. During the One Big Beautiful Bill, that was right around 4,000 people, and on average, usually it's around 1,200 people, just so you know. But thank you for that super chat. And guys, let me know what you think about this, and if you're as irritated about this as I am. Mateo Lanzano says, F anti-gunners. I couldn't say it any better myself. Yeah, we got more confirmation. No one else got any notifications either. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, listen, send this one out. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. I hope you enjoyed the live report from the Senate as it just occurred, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden.